Hello, Awesome Soul here, and welcome to another Robocraft news video, but this one will have news from a good mix of multiple sources. We've got some live stream information, some very juicy stuff there. We've got some Twitter information, some very game-changing stuff there, and some forum stuff, which I don't usually cover because my plate is already chocked full of other things. But I figured I would throw in those two responses because they do settle a few things that we haven't exactly had confirmation of yet. But I feel like I shall start with the live stream information. Of course, the link to it is in the description, and I will read out the time codes so you can check it out for yourself. At the 28-minute and 30-second mark, they get a question asking if there will ever be separate energy sliders for megabots, or specific teams. So one team could have 500% energy, while the other team would just have the regular old 100% energy. Just to give a little example there. And the response they give is that the team is aware there is a want for it, but they will implement everything they have planned first, aka the sliders they have planned first, and then maybe, they say maybe, so just nothing confirmed, maybe go back and add things like that. Now, they do say maybe, but honestly, I think that it's kind of a yes, because there is a pretty big community want for, a lot of sliders. I've seen a ton of them. I could list them off, but I would be here for quite a while. So eventually I think they will do another pass through as far as custom games go. Maybe not anytime soon. Maybe they'll take a break from custom games after they get what they planned in. But I'm guessing we will see some more community suggested sliders at some point. But moving on from that, we have the 39-minute mark in the live stream, and they say that rewards are still planned to make it into custom games. Now this is good because the whole rewards in custom games thing has not been talked about a whole lot. I think it's only come up like once or twice maybe. So it's good to know that they still have plans for that. Although chances are they're not going to be huge. Maybe only like a 1 item row or 2 items per row kind of crate. I don't think we're going to be seeing 3 or 4 items per row for custom games, because, you know, there could be easy ways of abusing that system. Or maybe what they could also do is have like a timer almost. So depending on how long your custom game is, it'll be 1 item per row. And then if you spend, 15 plus minutes in there, it's going to be 2 items per row, and then 3 items and 4 items, and then that's the cap, obviously. I don't know, they could do something like that. But until we get more news, all we can really do is just speculate on that. Anyway, moving on from there, we have a question about whether or not boss mode will come back into the game, and that was stated at around the 1 hour and 15-minute mark. And a very simple response to that is no. That is what custom games are for. And a little sad on that, but he does have a fairly good point here. If you guys remember back to the old days when boss mode was a thing, it was very, very difficult for the Megabot to win, at least in later iterations. But in earlier iterations, your team was incredibly disorganized, usually. So now with custom games, obviously you can make your own boss mode. And this way you can modify things exactly how you want it. Now, I am aware, I have seen a few comments here and there, especially in some of my videos, about people saying, oh, I don't have any friends, I can't play custom games. So what's the point of megabots? Well, I'm glad you asked, hypothetical person, because if you check the description of this video, there is a link to the Soul Squad Discord server, and there you'll find plenty of people who are willing to start custom games with you. If you, for some odd reason, don't know what Discord is, quick rundown, it's a combination of a forum, community hub, and voice chat server, and I would highly recommend it, especially the Soul Squad server. Another question that was asked a little later at the 1 hour and 26-minute mark is, will there ever be a mega insect leg? And from the description they gave, it doesn't sound like it's being worked on, and probably won't be worked on for a little while, if at all, really. And the final bit of information we got out of the live stream was near the end at the 1 hour and 33-minute mark. And it does confirm what we will be seeing in the next update, and that of course is Aerofoils. So, finally, the Aerofoil rework will be coming into the game. It has been discussed for quite a while, and I'm very interested to see what they actually do with it. We've had hints and teases that they could have vertical takeoff and be a lot more controllable in the air. So what exactly that means? Well, hopefully we will find out somewhat soon-ish. Though chances are we won't be getting any more information for another week. Because, as you know, with the update schedule of FreeJam currently anyway, the update should be falling on July 13th, which of course is a Thursday. Now, with the live stream stuff over, we can go ahead and jump into the forum stuff. So these are replies to threads. The actual thread itself doesn't exactly matter, it's more so the reply that's very important. Of course, the reply will be on screen for you, but I have highlighted at least what I consider to be the most important bit out of there. And Dan says, going into full release later in the year should reduce the amount of big changes like this, but I can't promise it will be the end of them, as Robocraft is a living thing in our minds and will always be changing and evolving. This is actually in response to a tweet Mark put out, but I will be getting to that after I cover the rest of these forum tidbits. So yes, very interesting wording here, because if you've been keeping up with my videos for a little while, you will know that originally we had news that they were planning to go full release in July, which obviously is this month. But now the wording here kind of throws that into question. Why not say this month? But they specifically say later this year. So it would seem that full release has been pushed back a little ways. Or maybe not. I'm kind of waiting on a double confirmation as far as this release date goes, assuming there is a new release window. The other little forum tidbit we have is this one, and this is in response to a thread talking about the rail buff that happened a little while back. Dan responds with, "We feel the same way, but we don't currently have any plans to nerf or buff rails. We will be keeping an eye on their performance and popularity. And of course, we test things internally for balance and quality before we make any changes." The whole "we feel the same way" little bit at the beginning there was referring to the original poster, basically saying don't nerf them until they are actually fully settled into the meta, because maybe they don't need to be nerfed at all, which I personally don't think they need to be touched. I think they are in a fairly good spot at the moment. It's just like with anything that gets buffed, people are gonna want to try it out, so that's why you're seeing a lot more, and then people are probably, at least now, I would say, settling back into their main weapon types that they like. And then the people that used to like rails quite a bit are now actually sticking with rails. But yeah, that's all good news for rail users. And now we can jump into the tweet. It is really only one tweet and a response, and that of course is from Mark. So a day ago he tweeted out this, and that would be, "Megabots are live. Now we can focus our dev time on some absolutely massive changes to the core building mechanic of Robocraft for the next update." So presumably that would also mean that the core building mechanics are going to be mixed in with the Aerofoil rework. So we're getting a building system rework, or overhaul, or whichever way you want to call it. And we're also getting the upgraded Aerofoils, the brand new and improved versions of them. Again, it has been stated that they are going to rework them in a similar level of quality as the wheels got, so quite a massive rework. Now, I did write a response to this, but this was before I saw the forum response, as far as their release date possibly changing, as far as, full release goes. So I wrote, "Will we be getting a write-up about your plans on the forums? With full release coming up, you won't be able to go back on huge meta changes like this." Now, Mark has been pretty good about doing things like this, especially now more than ever. He has posted a lot of things sort of along those lines. Basically, you'll remember he did a few write-ups, I think possibly 3, if I remember correctly, of a power system rework. And it seems like that's kind of left up in the air, at least at the moment, because there was a lot of mixed reaction to it, which was also my response. I was kind of lukewarm to it. I do kind of like the system we have now, but I know it does have a fair amount of flaws, but I'm just worried the system he proposed in that also had some flaws. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. So, his response to this is, yes, of course, we'll be revealing all plans very soon so we can discuss. Hopefully, very soon would mean today, at least today referring to the day the video goes up, or maybe in a few days. But yes, of course, once that is up and live, I will be giving my thoughts and opinions on what it could mean for the game. Whatever it is exactly, because this is all the information we have. We really have nothing else. But a little interesting shower thought I had earlier today was sort of along the lines of the TX cubes, and basically every bot aiming to be 2000 CPU. It's just, with the TX cubes being 3 CPU a pop, but heavily armored and lighter, it could lead to some very interesting things. So, what if in the last video, when I talked about the boosters folder, what if that wasn't thrusters? What if that was something similar to computer chips that would give sort of bonuses and perks, but these would be a lot lighter on CPU than modules would be, for example. Possibly 100 CPU, 80 CPU, something like that. These wouldn't provide huge buffs, but these would provide little bonuses, and their role is basically to be CPU fillers. So say you've got your bot to a pretty solid point, and you don't really want to add anything more, but you still have 120 CPU left. You could install maybe 1 or 2 of these chip things, and that would fill it up. Now, I know this is really nothing but a concept I've sort of come up with. There is no real evidence for this, and I just figured I'd kind of throw it in there as a little interesting tidbit. I know it didn't exactly segue the best from the last topic, but I didn't really know where else to throw it in. Anyways, what exactly do you think of a possible system like that, assuming we are still going to be getting that whole system he was talking about? And possibly the system he was talking about, as far as the whole TX, everyone tries to build a 2000 CPU bot and fill it with as much stuff as they can, kind of system, bit of a mouthful there. I'm sure he'll come up with a better name for it, could possibly be what he was referring to when he says changes to the core building mechanic. It certainly could be possible. And now that I've talked it over out loud, I think that could possibly be what he's referring to. Now, that was quite the mouthful there, so hopefully you kept up. And now that will do it for all of the news. Of course, if you have any thoughts or opinions, write them down below, because I like to gauge what the community's feedback to all of this is. Of course, I have my own opinions, but I would like to hear yours as well. Anyways, guys, I of course have been the Awesome Soul. I thank you so very much for watching. I will see you next time. Take care.